a male Mark is like more into girls, but also would be into guys as a guy. But then Rebecca might be more into guys and like less into girls, but still would.
What do you feel about that though? Do you feel like, for example, like you know how he or she has the he or she they have the option to like change whenever they feel like it, right? But for example, let's say like you know a girl's restroom, you think it's okay for like a guy to be like, I feel like a woman right now. I'll just go into the girls' restroom? Because that's my debate. That's the only thing that I would have problems with. Like, hey, I feel like a woman right now, so I'm gonna take the girls' line. Or
I don't know if anyone would really. I don't know if people would do that. Like for my cousin, like he would only use a women's restroom if he's dressed as female.
But then again,
like hair down, all female clothes, like bra, like looks as much as possible like a female, and anybody who saw him would
assume
or saw her would like kind of understand that.
Let me ask you something though. This is the reason I'm asking that, because I'm not that informed in that as well, so we can't. But for example, I wouldn't want, at least let's say I have a daughter, and like she's like young or whatever, and she goes to the bathroom. I wouldn't want males there. Now,
but why? And would it do you mean like
because I don't know
straight males?
I don't know that. So that's what I'm saying. Like maybe like 99% of the time it's gonna be used correctly. Like you feel like a woman, perfect. But I don't know that. I don't know if it's gonna. It's like the idea of like people can use that power for the wrong reasons, and I just don't want to be in that 1%.
Okay, but like if you're male and you're hanging out with your daughter and she has to pee, like you're gonna bring her to the men's room.
Obviously, so like
what's the difference?
It's a very severe case in that sense. But for example, in high school bathrooms, right? So when we went to high school, it was guys and males. Right? I mean, guys and females, right? They had their own bathroom. Boys and girls, males and females.
Okay.
See, I think if you identify by anything, that's fine. And whatever makes you happy, you should do it. You should never care about what other people, because nobody's gonna make you happy. Okay, you gotta be happy yourself with yourself. But there are situations in society that you cannot just do that. So, for example, I feel like the bathroom thing is one case. You're right. There is probably a lot of the times it's going to be used correctly, but what if a pervert guy or girl uses that to their advantage? So there's that rule of you can never tell.
I mean, yeah, that's possible. And that's also possible walking down the street. Like someone's going to attack you or not. Like if they're a freak person, like I understand the idea behind this, that something messed up could happen, but I don't think it's any more likely to happen than in pretty much any other situation in your everyday life.
It's like playing, like, let me play the devil's advocate. So, for example, in that situation, like if we talk about genders, right? We need genders in a certain extent. So, for example, when I work in the hospital, like when I check in a patient, it tells me male or female, and if they're transgender, it also tells me the options. So then I can see, and I don't like say he or she. I use they, or I use patient, so I don't offend.
Yeah.
And it also says, for example, their real name and then the name that they choose to go by.
Yeah.
So it gives you the options for you not to offend patients. I think that's great, right? But we need to know if it's female or male, or we need to know that information in the hospital setting, because you're not gonna treat a patient like a female patient like a male patient, because there's we're not, it's not the same. Like, it's not literally the same. Like, we need to identify those two things. And I think if you identify differently, that's totally fine. But there's like few things, for example, I think the bathroom, I think like that's something that it's a little awkward. It's a little thing that,
yeah, I would agree, it's awkward as well.
Especially if it's a share one, because you're right. There's there's a high chance of that. For example, it might not never happen, but it might happen. So we shouldn't be like, you know what? Just because there's a high chance of you getting shot, you know, everybody can go to the girls' bathroom, or else then it's not the girls' bathroom. Then everybody just can go to any bathroom. Would you feel safe, for example, if a guy comes into to the bathroom?
I think it depends. Like it depends on the vibe.
Exactly, right?
Like I would be freaked out if I'm like in a small bathroom with like only a couple stalls and I'm like sitting there and someone comes in and I can tell it's like
It's a guy.
man and like I don't know if he does something weird. Like I'd be like, what the fuck?
But that's my thing though. Like that's my thing. Like what if it's a guy that's dressed regularly, but he's like, yo, I feel like a woman, and you can't be like, well, no, you don't, because you don't know that, right?
Well, it depends. Like, if they look like a nice person or they look at me and they aren't, like, trying to hide or be weird, I'd probably just be like, hey, like, wrong bathroom, dude. Or, like, be like, hey, like, wrong bathroom. And then if they're like, oh, no, like, whatever. Like,
what if they get a... See, that's the iffy part of that. That's what I'm saying. Like,
well, you're going to offend people at some point. You can't just be, like, so stressed to not offend somebody. Like, obviously, there's basic things that we should know. If someone wants to be called she, call them she, or he, call them he. Like, if you make a mistake, like, so what?
Sorry.